we have to consider. So we have seen the example of linear search where we'll found the element at the first space, in middle, or at the end. Okay, so on the basis of that, we have the three types of, we can say we have three categories of this particular means searching, sorry, particular algorithmic complexity. You can say that best case complexity, worst case complexity, and average case complexity. Okay, so if the element is found in less amount of times, say in linear search, in if the element is found at the first place, then we'll call it the best case. Okay, if the element is found at last case, then we'll call it as the worst case, and in between, if the element found from 1 to n, so that will be called as an average case complexity. Okay, so after that, we have seen these asymptotic notations. Okay, so there are three asymptotic notations we have, so which is called as an big O. Okay, so it is going to represent the maximum number of steps. Okay, so that we need to find element in that particular with the help of that particular algorithm. Okay, so say in your linear search, we'll have O of n. Okay, so this this is representation of the, you can say it is a worst case representation, the how many max steps. So above O of n, your linear search won't go n plus 1, n plus 2, n plus n. It will not go like that. Okay, so the maximum will be O of n only. Okay, so you can found the element from at the first location, or at worst, okay, so it will going to found at the nth location. So that will be called it as a big O. Okay, then we have seen the omega notation, so that is always giving us the best case complexity, and theta notation, so that is going to give us the average case complexity. Okay, so that we have gone through. So these are the some notations we have seen. So these few things you must remember. This also we have discussed in last lecture. Okay, so this may come in your MCQ. Okay, so O of 1, we say that O of 1 is a constant time. Okay, so if the element is found in only one what we'll say one search, you can say, so that is called the constant time. Okay, so the complexity of that algorithm will be a constant time. Okay, so it's not O of 1 means what is not found at the first position, it is the complexity of that algorithm. Okay, so that is O of 1. Okay, so likewise we can say that if you have to insert the element in an array, okay, so that will be a constant time. Okay, basic thing we have seen that if you have to make an addition of two elements, so that is a constant time. Okay, so yeah, irrespective of a number of elements. Okay, so suppose there are two elements, we write a plus b. If there are three elements, we'll write a plus b plus c. Okay, so irrespective, it will be what is the value of a b c, or what is the value of a b. Irrespective of that, it will be always done in one step. So for that purpose, we'll call it as a constant time. Then we have seen a linear time like linear search. Okay, so it should be linear time means what? O of n, so that is a linear time. Then the next thing we have seen, that is O of n square. Okay, n square means what? It's not n2, it's n square, so that is a quadratic time. Okay, if you have an n elements like bubble sort, okay, so we require 10 for 10 elements, we require 100 steps to be carried out. Okay, so that is n square. Then we have seen n cube, that is a cubic time, and we have exponential time, so that is 2 to the power n. Okay, so that we have seen, and this is the chart which displays, okay, why we have to take complexity into complexity as a serious note into consideration. Okay, so you may say that, or you may think that, so I can write a program by my own way. Okay, so I can write a program, so I think this is optimal program. Okay, but it's not what we think. Okay, so we have to justify. Okay, we have to, what we'll say, go through number of considerations. Okay, so by that way, the algorithm or the steps of program you're going to like, so that should be optimal. Okay, so you may achieve the same output by number of ways. Okay, so same program output you can achieve with the number of ways. Okay, but the better way of writing, it's the number of steps. Okay, it's not number of lines of code. Okay, can you tell me the difference between what do you mean by number of lines of code and what will be number of steps of your program? Can you tell the difference in between that number of lines of code and number of steps? Are they similar or are they different? Yes, are they similar or are they different?
Sir, similar asli.
Okay, number of lines of code and number of steps. Okay. So okay, so number of lines of code, you may say that, suppose if I have written, so suppose we can take an example. Okay, so suppose I have to write some program. Okay, so to addition of we can say 10 numbers. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so sorry for interference. Okay, so what we are means discussing number of lines of code and number of steps. Okay, so we can write one program. Okay, so okay, I try to. Okay, how many of you think both are same? Okay, I will say lines of code. Are they different or are they same? Just give a thought process. Okay, so those who think it is different. Okay, so suppose if we have addition of, we can say 10 numbers. Okay, so okay, so we can take like this. Okay, so otherwise we can take an assignment of searching an element. Okay, so we'll have an assignment that is searching an element. Okay, so suppose I have to search an element in the list of 10 elements. Okay, so I can search like this for suppose I equal to 0, I less than 10, and I plus plus. Okay, and we are going to search something. Okay, so this you may call as a lines of code. So how many lines? Suppose we have some initialization, 2 lines for initialization, and these are something. Suppose these 2 lines or 5 lines, we can say over here 5 lines for search, and suppose we have 2 lines for print result. Okay, so this total lines you may approx, we can say we'll have 9 lines of code. Okay, so this we can call it as a lines of code. Okay, and if we are going to calculate the steps, so steps will be extra from this because we are iterating this. Yes or no? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
there are some small difference. Okay, steps will not be exactly same as the lines of code. Okay, so because these we consider the 2 lines in this case. Okay, and if your search have some 2-3 lines, we can approx consider it may be of 5 lines. Okay, but this is called the lines of code. Okay, but it's not a steps of code. Okay, steps, because these 3 lines I have to execute these 10 times. Okay, so it may be a 30. Yes, getting? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
so basically this I'm relating in some other way. Okay, so many times student may say that, okay, so I have created my program only in 5 lines. Okay, but what exactly the steps you need to run that program? Okay, that's running of the steps, it matters. Okay, so likewise in linear search, we can take an example. Any example, we have a linear search and binary search. Okay, so probably both may have similar lines of code. Okay, but will it difference from the code that is count we have, sorry, the step count we have? Otherwise we can say bubble sort. We have gone through 3 bubble sorts. Okay, one bubble sort we have seen, normal bubble sort. Okay, so the second bubble sort we have just make I j minus 1 minus I, and third bubble sort we have check a condition, check condition of we can say which condition we have checked over there. Okay, already sorted. Have you remembered that? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Three bubble sort we have seen. Okay, so this is my first bubble sort, this is my second bubble sort with some modification minus sign, this is my third bubble sort. So all 3 algorithms have the same number of lines. Okay, check condition you can say it for 2-3 lines more, but approx will be having the same lines. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but your normal bubble sort, if it requires suppose for 10 elements, it requires suppose 100 steps. Okay, so for your these particular, we have 10 elements, we'll have what we'll say suppose approximate it will require 75 steps, and for this 10 elements, okay, if it is already sorted, so it may require 25 or less than that. Yes, getting? So your lines of code and your what we'll say the number of steps is a different concept. Okay, so whenever you are going to write, so many students are considering that if I written that particular program in 2-3 lines, so that will be worth. Okay, but it's not like that. Whatever the logic you are going to build, okay, so logic of writing that program or using that loops and all, so that will matter much. Okay, getting? Yes, it's clear. So can we move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this example we have already gone through. So suppose for x elements, okay, so x elements, okay, so if we consider element as 2, sorry, this n we can consider. If we have an 4 elements, okay, and the program which you are written having a complexity log n, so for that log n it will require only 2 steps to execute, okay. Same for n log n, it will require 8 steps to execute. Same for n square, it requires 16 steps to execute, and same for this n cube, it will be like this, and it will be like this, okay. So 2 to the power n, it will be like that. But once it is going to increase, okay, for suppose we have 32 elements n, okay, so for log n it will be very less, okay, and log n it will be something considerable, and cube until n cube we are considerable, some considerable amount, okay. So that will be very less, but what we'll say, time required is very huge, okay, but that will be now in what we'll say reach of our compiler, okay. But this will not, compiler requires huge amount of time to execute this, okay. So getting now these all will be written suppose in 50 lines, okay. So whole these are 20 lines we can say, okay. All complexities will be written in 20 lines only, but their execution matters, okay. So if it is a 2 to the power n executions, okay, so that will matter, okay. So this is you may consider while writing your program, okay. Hope it's clear to you. So can we move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically how to calculate f of n we have seen. So we are not going to consider the constant values, okay, because when n is going to increase, okay, so that is constant of no use in our complexity, okay, because it will impact very less as considered to your other things, okay. And this is also you can consider as respect to n square, okay, only multiplication with constant to n have not that much improvement, okay. So to that, okay, if we get any function with this particular number of steps f of n square plus 6n plus 12, then we reach to this 5n square, okay. So this is the complexity of that program, okay. So that we can say that the complexity of program is 5n square, okay. So by this way we are calculating this f of n, okay. So this we have seen. So this is called as an asymptotic complexity because it's not an actual or exact complexity, it is an approximate complexity that we are going to reaching. So we have an asymptotic complexity, and in that case we have defined this worst case, average case, and best case, okay. So these are the 3 scenarios we can say, or that asymptotic analysis scenarios we have seen, okay. So we have seen big O notation. So this is the notations which will give an performance which can say, you can say growth of the function, it will order of growth of the function. So what big O gives, it will give us upper bound of this particular complexity. So we have always seen that the function gn, okay, so like it is like that, okay. So it is always greater than function f of n for some constant c, okay. So that you have seen. So this example you have taken for big O(n). Omega we have taken, so it is a best case scenario, it is going to give us a best case scenario, or you can say that it will give us the lower bound of this particular thing. So there exists a function g of n, okay, so with some constant c which is always less than f of n for a certain values of n, okay. So that is n is greater than number, or c is also greater than 0. So we have seen that f of n 2n plus 2, so it is always greater than cgn for some constant, okay. So that we have gone through. So this is an omega notation we can say. And theta notation we have seen. So this is a notation which will range from which is means there exist 2 constants we can say, c1 g of n less than or equal to f of n, c2 g of n, that we have seen, okay. So this always there is this complexity is in between. So f of n is in between in these 2 bounds, okay. So this will we can say that this is a real time complexity, theta complexity is a realistic time complexity, because always we won't get worst case or best case, okay. So that we have seen. So why we have that 3, we have already seen that, okay. So that we have, this is an example again that we have in detail, okay. So one short example I was discussing, which was the algorithm I have discussing last lecture. So we have ended with that. Anyone? So we have just discussing this algorithm, if you remember. Yes, I just wind up this in 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so this is one, actually I want to give the practical thing, okay, how much it will impact on your system, okay. So already we have seen the example of your program, normal program, machine learning and deep learning, how they are going to execute actually. Okay, so you can say that if the number of layers are going to increase, so your programs get optimized. Okay, so every time, suppose the first layer is going to give me the accuracy as 30%. Okay, so by inclusion of the second layer, so we'll get accuracy of 60%. Then likewise we are learning. Okay, so suppose you are learning the data structure first time. Okay, so you may now, if I told you just calculate the step table, okay, for XYZ algorithm. So initially for the first example, you'll get 10-20% accuracy. The next example, you'll get 40. Again, if you are practicing it more, so after some iterations, you'll get accuracy more than 90%. Okay, so that is the actual which we need. Okay, so in traditional way, the programmers or the scientists, okay, what they research with the deep learning, okay, so they are just gone on increasing what we will say the number of steps in between. So if you see, this is the 34 layers. Okay, so 34 layers means what? We have same 34 iterations in between. Okay, so the input of first will be given as output is second, and so on. So practically, theoretically, the accuracy should increase. Okay, so people reach to 1,000-layer implementation of deep learning, which makes the system very much slower. Okay, but the what we'll say, their expectation is that it should increase the accuracy. Getting? Hello. So if the inclusion of layer, like if you are learning much time, because we are increasing the learning, what we are increasing in your machine or deep learning, you will come across in further years. Okay, so what we are increasing the running time or learning time of your program. So theoretically, if the what we'll say, if it is like this, theoretically, if I will plot one graph. Okay, so this is my graph. Okay, so and this is number of steps. Okay, and this is, we can say, accuracy. Okay, so theoretically it should be, if the number of steps are increasing, the accuracy should go on increasing. Okay, so this is my theoretical plot. Yes, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but practically
Yes,
what happens? Okay, so it goes like this for some level, but after it gets decreasing. Okay, so that practically happens. This is the question. Okay, so it has very less justification. You can search on that. Okay, so practically it works like this. Okay, so what that person, okay, so who has invented this algorithm, what that person does, it does a smart idea. Okay, so you can say that त्याला मराठीत आपण थोडंसं we can say he has some जुगाड थोडक्यात. Okay, so what he does, okay, so it's a very good scientist actually. So what it does, okay, nothing modified in this all algorithms. Okay, so what it does, so he found that, okay, after some layers, inclusion of some layers, that accuracy degrades over here. Okay, so at passing the output of this, so what he suggests, okay, so if first we have some good result, okay, so just pass that after some few cycles, okay, and add over here. Okay, so again, the like what is the normal traditional way, we are having input of this, and we are giving output of this, we are giving input of to this, like this. Okay, it's go on like this. Okay, so what that person did, okay, so he told that along with this what we'll say output of this layer, we'll again add some output of previous layer to the next layer, so that will improve the accuracy. Okay, so this particular addition, which is called as a residual network, so for that reason it is called actually. So these improve the what will say accuracy of the algorithm very much. So in very less number of steps, okay, in very less number of addition of this cycle, we are reached. Okay, so if you look actually, okay, so if you're interested in that, so suppose if I plot the graph, okay, so this is the human accuracy of the prediction. So now machine is somewhere over here. Okay, so machine is reaching somewhere over here. In few years we'll reach over here. Okay, so this is because of only this improvements in this algorithm. So I hope you understood roughly, okay, what exactly this complexity and all, and how it will affect on the whole industry, and you can say that whole what we'll say nearby things. Getting? I hope I'm able to explain you the implication of this. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we'll move to the next topic. So by this way, we'll finish up the half of your first unit. Okay, and probably next lecture we'll have a short quiz on this. Okay, so I will share this PPT of the half of the syllabus today to you. Okay, you practice and go through the PPT, and this PPT is made much aligned to your notes also. Okay, I will try to give the notes also, but PPT I will share today or the first part. Okay, so the next topic that we have to see, so there is an abstract data type. Okay, so what exactly abstract data type means? Okay, so we can say that this is a very important concept, abstractions. Okay, so as a programmer, always we need to achieve the abstraction. Abstraction means what? it is hiding the implementation details. Okay, basically we can say that hiding the implementation details. Okay, and just we have overview of that. Okay, so suppose now we have abstraction in each and every part in our daily life. Okay, so suppose I'm driving a car. Okay, so car is abstraction to me. Okay, because I am putting the gears in that. Okay, but I don't know exactly it functions backend. Okay, so suppose I am playing something. Okay, so in that case, how exactly it is backend working in backend, we don't know. Okay, so we are only interested in the functionality. Okay, we are not interested in backend that much. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So abstraction is same level, same way, because already we have seen. So suppose I have to implement something. So we can say that we can means we can say, okay, I have to implement to what we'll say, uh, store the element in a array. We won't say array. Okay, I have to create a program. Okay, so for that stack. Okay, so we have seen the stack particularly in previous lecture. Okay, stack you can consider. Okay, so this is my stack. Okay, and I have to create a stack like this. Okay, so what are the elements we have, so that will be stored like this. Okay, so the new coming element is always about to the other. So this is my first element will be stored, second will be stored over here, this will be third, and this will be fourth will be there. Okay, so how that stack is going to perform. Okay, so if you have to delete the element, so the first two is going to delete initially. Okay, so we are not able to delete this in between. Wait a minute.
CPPS 2 या CPPS 1 में
Okay, sorry for interruption. Okay, so we are now discussing. So this is my stack implementation. So this in backend. Okay, what stack will have? I have to find out the which is the element. So there is one method, I will call it as a top. Okay, so this top method, it will give me the topmost element. Okay, then I will have one method which is called as the push. What push will do? It will push the element at the topmost of that particular stack. And one method I will have, that is pop. Okay, so that pop will remove the element at the top of the stack. Okay, so these are the three abstract methods. So the meaning of this method, we know that if I have a method top, okay, what it will give, the answer of top will be 4. Okay, in this case. Okay, so if I have made pop, okay, so pop what will do, it will delete the element from this place. Okay, so again if I perform top, so my answer will be 3, because now 4 will not be in memory. Okay, so like this will, so these three methods I will have, so in this particular thing. Okay, but now this what we'll say, this stack I can implement with array. I can have one array, so that I can implement this stack particularly. I can implement this stack with linked list. Okay, so I can implement that stack with linked list or any other data structure in between. Okay, so or any other approach we have. Okay, but we are now interested in this above part. Okay, so that is called as the abstraction. Okay, so that abstraction we won't know exactly in backend, okay, how it is implemented. Okay, and main thing, we are going to hide this particular implementation detail. Okay, so that is called as an abstract data type. Getting? Okay,
Yes.
so already we have discussed. Okay, so we have to more conscious about what to do, not how to do. Okay, so that is an abstraction. Okay, so basically you may ask me that, sir, we have to implement it practically. Yes, we have to implement it practically, but in rough way, because rough way we have to write this in abstract way. That abstraction you may come more detail in your OOP concept, because OOP is there itself for abstraction. Okay, so basically we have two types of abstraction: data, and second is procedural. The separation of logical properties of the data from the details, how the data is represented. Okay, so that we have like this array we are represent, or linked list we are represent. Okay, and procedural abstraction, that is the separation of the logical properties and actions of implementation. So like this, we are just writing top, push, and pop, but we won't know exactly how it is written at backend. Okay, so that is ADT. The ADT is the one in which the state of operation is defined at the formal level, logical level, without being restricted at the operation levels. Okay, so that we have to write. Okay, so what abstract data type is? We want a data specific method that has the following feature. One is abstract, second is safe, third is modifiable, and fourth is reusable. Okay, what is abstract? It should help the programmer organize data by focusing on its logical properties. Okay, so it is going to focus on logical rather than the implementation details. Okay, so it is going to allow the users to hide the complexity of the task. Then we'll have a safe. Okay, it should control the manipulation of the representation of data so that malfunctioning can be avoided. Okay, modifiable. Okay, it should make it relatively easy to modify, and reusable. That data structure should be such that it is a reusable product for the others. Okay, so that you can reuse like this. Okay, so we have to achieve, or we can say that these are the features of the abstract data type. One is abstract. Okay, it should separate out the implementation from the conceptual or logical point of view, so that is abstract. Second is safe. It should control the manipulation of representation of the data. And modifiable, you have to modify, and you have to use. Okay, so that abstract data type. Okay, so this is the same. It is written in another way. Okay, so we have an abstract data type already. We have seen the stack is an abstract data type. We have push as a method, pop as a method, top as a method. Okay, similarly queue, there are few methods. Linked list, there are few methods. Tree and graph. Okay, so we are interested in what we'll say, we are interested in the bird eye view. Okay, so the implementation details are hidden, so that is called as an ADT. Okay, so now the topic we have in ADT, that is we have an abstract data type for array. So initially we just what we'll say, revise this array concept. You know it very well. Okay, so how that array is working, and to that array we have to write what we'll say, abstraction. Okay, so that abstractions we have to achieve with the array concept. Okay, so basically, you know, array, for what purpose array is used. Okay, so it is used to store the homogeneous elements. So array is specifically used to store the homogeneous elements. Okay, all the elements are stored in a contiguous memory. Okay, so these are not stored in some random memory. What is the memory is allocated? So that is a contiguous memory. Okay, so can you tell me which are the different what we'll say operations we can perform an array? Hello, what different operations you can look for this array as a program point of view? Which different methods or which different things we need to this array? So one I will tell you as insert. Yes, insert is a method that is we can say we need for array. Yes. There is one method we can say insert that is required for array. Okay, any other method? Am I connected, na?
Sir, deletion.
Yes, deletion is one method that we can say remove. Okay, remove is one method that we can say. Any other method? Remove is one method. Any other method that you can say? You already worked a lot on array. Okay, which are the different methods? If you if anyone tell you, just create abstraction of array or abstract data type of array. Okay, so we have insert method, we have remove method. Any other method you can think? just think a lot, okay, because programming is a logical part, okay, so you have to think, or you can stress your mind a lot, okay, so that will give some answer. Okay, you can roughly say anything. Okay, insert is there, remove is there, any other method that we can say this is needed for array? Okay, I can add some more. Okay, so that may be not a part of that. May I need to check is full? I can say if full or is full. While inserting the element, can we need to check whether that array is already full or not? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
this we
sir.
can consider. Again, we can like insert, we have a remove. Can we have a get function? Get function to get the element present at that location at the index. Yes.
Yes.
Similar to is full, can we have is empty? If we have to make a get function, can we have is empty also? So if nothing is present, so why to get? So these are some abstractions that we need. Okay, so we can say this will create some ADT of that particular array. We see. Okay, we'll see. Okay, so you know that array is a container of element. Element have a specific value like ABC to some numbers. Okay, some data types will have. Each element is also has its own index which is used to access the element. Okay, so that we have. So what is an array specifically? Array is a container which can hold a fixed number of items, and these items should be of the same type. Okay, so these items should be same type, so that is the one restriction, or we can say one property of the array. Most of the data structure make use of array to implement their algorithms. Okay, so following are the important terms that we have to understood regarding to array. Element, each item stored in an array is called as an element. Index, each location of an element you can call it an index, that you know. Okay, so if we go with the index of array, okay, so you know that we have a data type over here, we can have elements over there, so that you can create an array. Okay, so suppose this balance array is to be created, so it will be array.array. So this is in some other language. Okay, so this is in Python, you can write. In C++, we can write in curly brackets, so that we can create like this. Okay, and this 300, 200, and 100, okay, so that are going to place at the respective locations with their respective indexes 0, 1, 2. Okay, so that you know array element data types are stored like this. We have an array name like balance, we have an array name, we have a data type, so you have to specify, so it is an integer as a data type. We have an element, so these are the elements in, so this is the terminology of array. So I think I no need to go in details of that. Accessing the element, you can directly access with the index. Okay, so that we have okay. So now we'll see now array as an ADT. Okay, how the array is going to be stored or declared as an abstract data type in a memory, computer memory. Okay, so that we can say. Okay, so basically array can be declared in different ways in different language. Okay, so again, why that ADT is required? Okay, array is a concept basically. Array, what is the main concept of array? So array will have which it is going to store the homogeneous element. Okay, so that is going to store in the continuous memory locations. Okay, so you cannot add more elements than the prescribed. Okay, so these are a few terminologies. Okay, so in Python array is declared like this, in C++ array is declared like this, in some other languages array is declared like some other way. Okay, but is the basic terminology or basic thought of that is going to change if we are going to change the concept of if we are going to change the language over here? Yes. Yes, both are same. Means, is there any change in the concept if we change the language?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so this is called as an ADT. Okay, ADT means what? The concept is going to remain as it is. Okay, it's not going to change. Okay, so concept will not going to change the language. Okay, so that is called an abstract view. Okay, so suppose initially you are going, you are very good in C language initially. Okay, so after few years or so suppose in few next semester, okay, someone told you, okay, so just now the same array, some linked list we can say. So linked list you have created in C++. I want linked list in Java. Okay, so sorry, we can say stack in Java. You have already created stack in C++. I needed that stack in Java. Okay, so you know the concept that stack will have the same backend. You may implement with array, you may implement with linked list, or you may implement with other structure. Okay, but if anyone told you that implement stack, okay, you know that stack will have these many methods. Okay, what is the purpose of the stack? So that it will be last in first out. Okay, last element which is inserted, so that will be only deleted first. Okay, so there will be no random deletion, no random insertion. That will be only insertion at the one end and deletion is from one end. Okay, so if you know that very well, very well, then you can implement that in any language, in any platform, or any what we'll say means methodology. Okay, so that for that purpose we need an ADT. Okay, so that ADT, abstract data type, is needed over there. Okay, so array can be declared in various ways. We can have like this. Okay, so you have a type should be given. Okay, you have to give the name of the array, you have to give the size of the array, and you have to give the element of the array. So this is the basic declaration of the array. So along with that basic declaration, now we can say roughly this, we can say an ADT of the array. Okay, so what is that ADT? So the array will need an index, an array will need an value. Okay, so these are some methods we can have an array. So first is the declare create. Okay, so create will create array. Okay, access. Okay, so access will access the return type of the create, it will be return array whole, which will be return. Access will return value. Okay, store. Okay, store will return again updated array. If you are going to store something, so that will return an updated array. Okay, then for we'll have some function like for all array, if you have to print something. Okay, so we can print with the use of access. Okay, so we'll have like this. Okay, so if the what we'll say element is not present, then it will give us error. Okay, so you'll have access store array like this. Okay, so if equal this ij. Okay, so it will give us like this. Okay, so this will be, so these functions we have, one function is create, one function is access, one function is store, and these are some modified versions of the same thing. Okay, so this is the representation of array as an ADT. Okay, just write down this. Okay, this example of the array and array as an ADT. Okay, then we'll look that particular thing in detail. Till if you have any doubt, you can ask. लिहून घेताय ना सांगितलं तर? Okay, once it is done, just tell me, then we'll move forward. Okay, is it completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is an ADT. Okay, so we'll just elaborate that in more. Okay, so ADT. So basically, ADT will contain 3 parts. Okay, so if you have if you have theoretical some parts, and if you have to write a short note on ADT or a similar concept. Okay, so you have to explain ADT like this. Okay, so we have 3 parts in ADT. One is domains. Okay, second is operation, and third is axioms, or you can say third is the rules we have. Okay, so basically what is domain? Okay, so it is an intended set of values that an array must use either as an index or as an value. Okay, so basically domain means what values it is going to have possess. Okay, so that array must use either as an index and value. Okay, so that you can say as a domain of an array is a collection of fixed homogeneous elements. Okay, so that may be atomic or structured. Okay, so the main thing is that whatever the array elements you are going to have, so that are fixed, so that array elements are not variable. Okay, so once you declare the array, you cannot modify that particular thing. Second thing, will have homogeneous, so all the elements stored are in homogeneous nature. So it may be integer, it may be a character, it may be a float, but it cannot be a mix of that. Okay, so that will be like this. Okay, so this is domains. Okay, next is an operations. Okay, so what are the different operations we have, which we have? Okay, so first operation we can create. Okay, so what it does, okay, with this ADT, okay, what it does, it will create an empty or new array. Okay, we can say that it will create an empty or new array. Okay, then we'll have the second part, that is an access. Okay, so access will have what we'll say, you may pass array as a argument and index over there, and it will return the value of that particular location. Okay, so this function takes an array as an index as an input, and it will access the data at the particular location, and it will return the element from this. Okay, next thing, we have a store as a function. So to store, we need to pass an array, we need to pass an index, and we need to pass an value. Okay, so what it will do, it will store a value in that array at a specified index position, giving the updated array as an output. Okay, then we will have some axioms. Okay, axioms means what? Some rules. Okay, so where it should be, that should be considered. Okay, so following are the array, so that we have seen. So access, create I. Okay, so I have to access. So first thing, before access, the array should be there, so create should be called. Okay, and if array is already present, there is no need to work with create. Okay, and you have to pass I. Okay, so it may produce some error if the array is newly created. So initially it is empty. Okay, so this access will create an error. Okay, so that is one rule we always keep in mind. Okay, you cannot access any element from the empty element. Okay, again we'll have an access store. Okay, so array of I, the value to be stored at X. Okay, and we are going to means access the element at the jth location. Okay, so is equal to X. Okay, if I and J. Okay, so if I and J both are equal, okay, else you have to access the array A, J. Okay, the second axiom states that accessing the element at index J, okay, where X has been already stored at the index I in an array. Okay, so that may be a mismatch. Okay, if we have, okay, if I and J, then the accessing the element itself is X. Okay, and the operation is equivalent to the operation accessing the element at the jth index. Okay, so if both are the same element found, okay, so accessing will be having a duplicate part. Okay, so that we have to consider. Okay, so this is about the ADT. Okay, so of array. Okay, so any doubt in this? Is it clear? What is ADT? What is the significance of ADT that we have? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll just go through in 5 minutes what we have learned in this half of the unit. I will just show you again the syllabus part. Okay, so that already I think I have put on to the first slide. Okay, so we have started with this particular part. I'm talking about this much part we have covered. Okay, so this much part we have covered. Okay, so we have started from this. Okay, and this second part we are remained with. Okay, so that hashing part. Okay, so that hashing part is again very much interesting part. Okay, so that already we have started in practical, but we'll cover in theory. Okay, in next lecture we'll start that. Okay, so basically we have started with types of data structures. Okay, which are the different types. We have seen that linear data structure and non-linear data structure, then static, dynamic data structure. Few more data structure types we have seen. Okay, we have seen the characteristics of algorithm, which algorithm is a good algorithm, we can say that. Okay, then we'll see the analysis of the algorithms. Okay, that is what is the frequency count. Okay, so what is time complexity, what is the step space complexity that we have seen, okay, in detail. Okay, then we have gone through array. So how the array is represented in memory. Okay, so what is abstract data type of array, and how we can calculate the address. Okay, so this address calculation you may know actually, but we'll just touch this part also. Okay, so that is remained. Okay, so this part we have gone through. So can anybody tell me what is the address calculation specifically? What the term means, address calculation? Yes, we already covered in first semester, but can anybody tell me what do you mean by address calculation? What is address calculation? Yes. So this is my array. Okay, so now, okay, so what we have, so my first address is 100 at this position. So this is my address. Okay, so what is the address of this location?
112.
Hello?
112.
112. But how we have calculated this is as a 112? Okay, we know that it will be 4 bytes. Okay, so it will be 104, 108, and this will be 112. Okay, so now how the address is calculated now? If we converted it into mathematical form, okay, how we can calculate the address? Okay, may I write like this? Address is equal to, okay, we can have base address plus what we have to write, base address plus
4 into index.
yes, correct. Okay, so it is index into, I will say roughly it is a word size. Okay, so we can say it as a word size. Yes. Okay,
Yes, sir.
but it depends on your compiler. Okay, it may be a 2 bytes or 4 set. Okay, so this is called as an address calculation. So how the address is calculated? So address is equal to base address, okay, plus index into word size. Okay, so that word size may be 2 bytes, 4 bytes. It depends on your compiler. Okay, so this is called as an address calculation. I think this address calculation we have also performed for your multi-dimensional array. Yes or no? If you remember. Okay, we'll just touch that also. I think this is clear. So suppose with this we can calculate address of suppose element 6. Okay, in this particular position. Okay, so address of element 6 will be, what is my base address? It is 100 plus my index will be 6. Okay, into we have word size is 4. Okay, so how it will be now is equal to 100 plus 24. 24, so it will be 124. Okay, so like this we have. Okay, so we'll now just see. Okay, it is 112, it is 160, it is 120, and it is 124. Yes, correct. How you are going to calculate this? Yes, any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Okay, and if you go for the multidimensional array, same way. Okay, if you have to calculate the multidimensional array address. Okay, so it will be like this. Okay, suppose we'll have this is a row and this is column. Okay, and we can say that we'll have this 3 into 3. Okay, so can you tell me how we can calculate the address of this? Okay, so this is my, I can say row 0, 1, 2. These are 4 rows actually. Okay, and I will have 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so if I have to calculate the address at this location, or we can say address of element, but which is 55. Okay, so how we can calculate this? Okay, so what this location is now? 2, 2. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in my base address, I can say base address is equal to 100 again. So how we can calculate this? What is over here 55? Okay, just tell me how we can calculate this. We'll finish up this and we'll end up today's lecture. Okay, so how it is now? Address will be, okay, so it is base address plus what will be there. So it will be, we can say, first row index into what we have to,
Column index.
row index into column index. Okay, so if we do like this, column index. Okay, so suppose if we calculate that, okay, so we'll see. Okay, so is equal to, my base address is 100. Okay, so my row will be 2, column will be 2, into I have to give word size. Okay, so that is remained. Okay, so we'll say like this. So will it be 116 now? So this will be 100, this will be 104, 108. Okay, next will be, it will be 112. Now it will be 116. I think something wrong. चुकलं काय? It will be 2 into 2. Is there anything we have to add? Just update it. How we can do this formula? Plus column index into 4. We can do this. Okay. So this if you do, so I will write row index will be 2 plus, okay, column index is 2 plus 4. So it will give me this. So it should bracket. Yes, it should be in bracket. So if we include this in bracket like this, we'll make like this. Okay, it's 116. Okay, so we'll look for this. Okay, so this is one number. Okay, so this will be now 116. No, but we have not got the answer, na? So it will be 120.
रो मध्ये एक ऍड करायचं, कॉलम मध्ये एक ऍड करायचं, तसं केलं तरी होईल.
Okay, so the answer will be 132, na? Answer I have to get is 132.
Yes.
So tell me. Okay, basically you can say like this. What I will just give an hint. Okay, so you can come up with solution in next lecture. Okay, so basically for any row we have to consider, okay, total columns, because when we are switching to the second row, okay, so first 3 columns should be added. Okay, so we can say that, okay, so if my column row number is 2, okay, so I should multiply that row number with column into 4. Yes, because what we have to do, okay, because for the 0th row, okay, so it will not work. Okay, for first row what will happen? Okay, so total row into 4. Okay, so that will be working. Okay, because this is already occupied. Okay, so we are switching to over here. Okay, so in that case we have to work like this. Okay, and we can say plus, this is roughly I'm giving one thought process. You can have this also, and into we can say column into 4. So if we take separately, so the formula can be like this. Okay, so this is that second position. Okay, so my 2 will be the what we'll say column row index. Okay, into 3 into 4 means what? It is 3 into 4, it is 12. Okay, plus column will be, my column is 2 into 4. So what will happen? I will make it is equal to same thing, 2 into 12 plus 2 into 4. It is 32. Okay, plus we have to make a base address. Yes, is it correct now? Likewise you have to think on that. Okay, so this is an address calculation for this. Okay, so hope no doubt is there. So I will just take the attendance. Okay, so I will tell you the absent number. So if anyone left in between, or if anyone not present, okay, just confirm me. Okay, so today is 25. Okay. $37 is absent. Okay, I'm just calling the absent numbers. Okay, those who are not called, all present. Okay, so 37 is absent, 53 is absent. Okay, so only 2 are absent. 37 and 53. All are present. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet again in next. Okay, so for tomorrow's you prepare for some quiz part. Okay, I will share you PPT. You work on that. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.